Yeah, and I think we see that in history, right? It was great scientists who were also devout followers of Jesus Christ and disciples of Jesus Christ, and who loved the church, who really basically invented science
Yes,
in a sense, right? And
yes,
throughout all of this, you've explained to us your purpose-driven life, the purpose that you have, and shared with us that. Oh, looking back at all of this, from the education to the training to everything that you've overcome, how did you finally come to that? Because I think there's still a lot of people who are going, what am I here for? What am I made for? I don't know what my purpose is. Maybe even some Christians who are saying, okay, well, I go to church on Sunday, I go to the midweek Bible study on Wednesday, I go to our discipleship groups, and I'm reading the Bible. But they're still wondering, like, what am I specifically here for? Like, you found that in you. You know, we all know that God has a plan for us, right? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope in the future. You're fortunate enough to find that and know, hey, this is what God created me for. What would you say to someone like a young student who is aspiring to be the next physicist or the
yeah.
next surgeon, and they're going, but what is ultimately my purpose? Not just my career, not just my
Yeah.
vocation, but really my
Yeah.
my purpose, my God-given purpose. This episode is brought to you by our Revo Report Patreon. Join our community to get first access to interviews, Bible study guides, devotionals, and prayer books for adults, youth, families, and marriages. Plus, resources on Christian living, leadership, sermon prep, exclusive Q&As, online Bible studies, and even one-on-one coaching or counseling. Visit patreon.com/VinceRevo and grow in faith and truth with us.
Okay, great question again. I think that, as I mentioned, the I feel the most important purpose God wants us to do is outside the church.
Mm,
Church is a place for us to celebrate faith,
mm,
deepen our faith, and help each other. But God wants, I think Matthew 18, they go disciple the world, people, every nation, that God wants us to help Him grow the kingdom.
mm.
That's a transcending purpose. Doesn't matter what the specific profession each person is. A
Yeah.
scientist, a computer, a real estate person, or CPA is beyond what you normally do. What is God's specific purpose for you beyond what you normally do? What I normally do is a laser eye surgeon, but beyond what I normally do, God wants me to use my skills to help those who need the most help, which is blind orphan children. Then I'm an eye doctor, so that's my specific God-centric purpose. But if you're a CPA, God's going to give you different God-centric purpose. So I think for all of us, we can use this formula. Just say, God want, in fact, I would say ultimately is grow the kingdom, bring more people
Mm,
to Christ. That's the ultimate purpose, but through different ways.
mm,
You're not going to do eye surgery, but if you're CPA, you're going to do different ways, but through what you normally do,
mm.
rise beyond that God-centric purpose that through what you normally do, whether it's you're a computer scientist or engineer or a real estate business person, but through what you do, administer to others, through what you do, with the ultimate goal of bring people to Christ.
Wow, I like how you make that distinction, because I think some people think, okay, being a Christian is going to church. But we see even in the New Testament, the word Christian is mentioned in the Greek koine 3 times, I believe. But the word disciple is mentioned something like 250 to 260 times. And so isn't it incredible the word disciple is mentioned 260 times, but the word Christian is only mentioned 3 times. And so isn't it incredible how God refers to, really, to be Christian is to be a disciple and also to disciple others.
Yes,
And I like how you're able to see, like, that is the ultimate purpose, and
yes,
that happens outside the 4 walls of church. It doesn't just happen on a Sunday. It can happen on a Saturday, like today. It
yeah,
can happen on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so that's very true. And I believe that's also very biblical to see it in that respect. You've done so much. You're still doing so much. What other projects that you're working on right now that you're really excited about?
my main project now is to develop a framework using what I learned about I as
Mm.
an evidence for existence creator
Wow.
to really develop a system to teach young people around the world in universities studying science and basically speak the language of listener, right? Use the
Mm.
scientific language to send Christian message.
Wow.
It will take lots of work beyond just recognizing, human eye and the color difference, right? That's the starting point. But what are the specific part of knowledge of human eye anatomy, physiology, vision capturing, processing, and to really expand it out a little bit so that the student can actually see those specific evidence that pointing to God. In other words,
Wow.
encourage students to go where the evidence leads and use scientific language
Mm.
to convince scientists. Beat them in their own games.
Right, right. Wow. And so is that going to look like a book? Is that going to look like a study, a systematic theology? A
Yeah, I don't know the format yet, but I
okay.
know the general direction. I'm very inspired by my own pastor, Dr. Rice Brooks, who developed this lecture series called God's Not Dead, talk
Mm.
about evidence supporting the existence of God, the creator. So I'm inspired by what he has been doing, and I've been part of his journey, God's Not Dead lecture series, whenever I can, when it's close to Tennessee. But I'm inspired by that Dr. Rice Brook's mission, and also using sight as a movie in my background, the sight Bible study, to show that we need sight, not just physical sight, but the emotional, spiritual sight, to allow us human being in a suffering, divided, polarized, warring world today to see beyond our pain, see beyond our circumstance, to see beyond our own self, see beyond our own culture, and finally seeing beyond the polarization of human race so that we can overcome that polarization and division to find common ground once again as human race.
Wow. Very, very inspiring. Very inspiring. Um, I'm wondering myself, because I was actually looking at laser surgery before. I was just too afraid to go and jump the gun on it. You would probably know um, the the best clinics over here in Toronto. Do you have also clinics set up in Toronto, in Vancouver, in Canada?
Not in Canada.
Okay.
We only have we're centered the high eye hospital system, which I'm part of, has 900 eye centers worldwide, 700 some in China, over 100 in Europe, and Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, one in the United States, which is Nashville, Tennessee, our center. So we're expanding, and it's a public company, so has not expanded into Canada yet. For laser vision correction, how old are you, Vince?
I'm 42 now.
Okay, 42. So you are in the zone of that diagram, the left upper corner, the smile. And that's the most barrier that most people are always a surgery. I'm kind of afraid. But today,
Mm.
the surgery is totally different from the LASIK. LASIK is a big incision, can cause lots of problems, a big flap cutting. I can do the entire smile, small incision LASIK, through a 2 millimeter hole. Afterwards, you wouldn't even feel anything. You don't even know that I
Wow.
finished. Yeah, it's all laser. And however, despite the fact, as I mentioned, that's best technology making LASIK obsolete, less than 5% of North America, I believe,
Yeah.
can use the smile. The 95% still using the traditional LASIK large incision as such. So that's
Mm.
why one of the slides that today I have is the weekly Tuesday Zoom, every Tuesday, 6:45 p.m. Central Time or 7:45 Eastern Time. We give the Zoom to educate people about, what's the latest technology. And if people in Canada, you can send me email. I can help you find out whether you have local smile surgeons in Canada or near where you are in Toronto. The thing is, having surgery successful is three conditions:
Mm.
right technology, right surgeon, and right patient. In terms of right technology, I mentioned Smile is making LASIK obsolete. So have Smile, don't do LASIK anymore. Right surgeon always ask other doctors, your internists or other medical doctors, where would you go, doctor, for your own eyes? Check on the doctor, the surgeon's training school where they go, that is helpful, and find the right patient. It's not about doing surgery, the priority. It's about doing the right thing. Sometimes may not be surgery. So need a complete thorough evaluation. At our center, every patient goes through 4 hours of thorough evaluation because I want to make sure that once I do surgery, I'm responsible for that patient for the rest of my life, our lives. So I want to make sure we're doing the right thing. Every patient, I pray with them before surgery. I give them personal cell phone. I give every single patient personal cell phone
Wow.
so they can reach me. Because the best person to untie a knot is someone who tied the knot initially.
Right, right. I've said it so many times, but I don't think I can say it enough. I'm very inspired by this talk. Very inspired by this talk. And so thank you for taking the time. I pray that God will continue to use you, give you many more years to gift the world and the body of Christ. I messaged a fellow friend of mine who's a pastor because I'm setting up another meeting with another pastor friend in Singapore. And I said, I'm just about to hop into a meeting with a modern day saint, to just give so much to the body and to continue to do that. It is such a privilege, and it's such a privilege to be able to speak to you, not just for an interview, but to personally speak to you, to personally connect with you. I'm always looking for men in my life as well that I look up to at a very high level. And you're definitely one of those. And so it's such a privilege. I've researched you so much, but to get to sit down and to communicate with you, and it was like the devil was trying to stop this with all the technical difficulties that we were having, right? But thank you for just the example that you set for younger men to follow, to look up to, and for continuing to spread that message. That message is critical for the next generation of young leaders who will be the next Dr. Mings out there.
They need to develop the common ground seeking skill set, Don't forget to email me your mailing address. I will mail this Common Ground Bible Study, Side Movie Bible Study, the autobiography, and also Shiban Gongbe little booklet. And in appreciation, Vince, I found your question to be right on the spot. You have well prepared. You have done your homework, and I've been a joy to talking to you to sense the gist of your question, and which helped me organize my thought as well. I do have a final question. What is your ethnic background?
So I am Filipino. I do believe that my grandfather was also an orphan. And I believe that he has a little bit of Chinese as well in his background, I do believe, and as many of us Filipinos do. And we work in the Philippines, in fact, with a lot of orphans as well. My specialization is video, obviously, and so we did videography and documentation for orphans as well in the Philippines. So your story is very touching. Is very touching to do that, because I've met a lot of these orphans who they have nothing, right? But for one person to give them food or to give them hope or to give them a prayer, for a little kajil to sing, and for all of us to see that in suffering we can be brought out of darkness into light or into sight, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.